Good morning and welcome back to the shop. In the last video with my 2008 Vectrix VX1, we bought this for $500, spent another $300 on some parts, and successfully rode it around the block with a lithium battery made out of 2 modules out of a Chevy Spark EV. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to be a permanent solution because the Chevy Spark modules are 16S, 16 cells in series, and 2 of them is 32 cells in series, which is 4 short of what this bike actually requires. If I add 4 more cells to this bike, it'll work perfectly. It'll charge and discharge to just the right amount. I calculated 3.05 volts per cell discharge and then 4.05 volts per cell fully charged, which is the sweet spot for good cell life and safety. So we've got to add 4 cells, but the problem is these Chevy Spark modules, they're kind of a unit, kind of an absolute unit. These are lithium polymer pouch cells in a plastic frame with water cooling provisions, and my microphone is doing whatever it wants to. So what I need to do today is take that battery and extract 4 cells from it and build a standalone slab of cells that can sit sideways on top of my existing battery setup. Now, obviously, also, I will need a battery management system. I do not think that's going to happen in this video. A 36S BMS, anything over 32 gets you from e-bikes and hobbyist stuff right into, oh, you're buying a BMS for a car. And that means the price goes from $100 or $200 to $1,000 to start with. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get 2 Ant Smart BMSs, and I'm going to attach both of them to this battery in 2 sets of 18, I guess. Yeah, 18. So the BMS is going to act like 2 independent 18-cell batteries, and it won't have any agency over charging or discharging. But since I have such conservative upper and lower voltage limits, as long as the batteries remain balanced throughout their charge and discharge cycles, no cell should be going into the danger zone. They are active smart balancers. I'll be able to check on them with my phone. It's a pretty decent solution given the restrictions that I'm imposing on myself, which are mostly just that I'm a cheap ass. So much like the other batteries, we're going to go ahead and get this front panel off of here. These are, like I said, lithium polymer pouch cells. So these are actually under compression. Let's see if I can... Flathead screwdriver would be a way better tool for this. But you know, there we go. All right. So now we can see on the top here all of our cells, all of our copper tabs, and we are going to want to take 4 of these modules and split the rest out. So we're going to have to cut this top piece. We're going to have to ditch. There we go. We're not going to be using whatever this goofy balancing wiring harness is. We are going to, cutting through this is going to be real sketchy. But first we'll get this off, we'll get this compression thing off, and then we'll finish removing these big old bolts that go through here and see if we can just take a little bit off. We're going to take it from this side, and then we're going to take this plate from this side of the battery and use that as our end cap. I don't know if the camera's pointing right. I'm holding it the wrong direction. Okay, so I'm going to put... That is a negative, right? Nope, that's a positive. Okay, well, we're going to start from one end, and let's see here. That should be 1 cell. Ooh, these are charged a little high. 4.21 is the max for these. So 2 cells. Couldn't find my marker. Piece of tape. All right. So right here is where we need to cut just this plastic piece without removing it from the battery, because in order to remove it from the battery, we have to destroy these interconnects. And I don't want to destroy all of these interconnects. Ideally, I will pry the copper bus bar off of this, because this will be our negative terminal. I'll just drill a hole through this and attach our negative flying lead off of there. I'm going to cut down this plastic protector because you definitely don't want this stuff hanging out. So this is what appears to be glass fiber reinforced nylon. Can be kind of a pain in the ass to cut. That is going to be between the cells. There's not any room in between the cells, and if I go too far, I hit a cell and then we have a fire. So I'm not sure the best way to do this. Best way to do this is probably not to, but here we are. Ideally, you just break this pack down into the flat pouch cells and make your own enclosure for them, but I'm kind of wanting to reuse this this nice Chevy Spark sort of containment unit. I don't know. Okay, so firstly, I'm gonna see if I can just pop these spot welds. Might hold off on this until I get the pack apart a little bit more. More little things. All this. Yeah, you can see the cell in between there, lipo pouch, because they're pressing out. Well, they're coming out. Stop scaring me. Ugh. There it is. Oh my gosh. Hated every second of that. Okay, now give me the bolt. I've just noticed something on this side. Right here in the middle. These cells are noticeably darker than the rest. I don't know if this pack was all that healthy. Now I can pop these water necks out of this end plate because I'm not going to use these. This does not need water cooling at the amperages I'm going to be running it at. So that will be one end plate. This will be the other, obviously, as soon as I get the 4. All right, so now my plan up here is I'm going to, first up I need to get the copper bus bar peeled up. Get that off of there, and then I'm just going to score this repeatedly with a knife, and then I'm just going to hinge the cells that I want up and try and snap the plastic. That way I'm not cutting down into anything, through anything, and minimizing my chances of some secondary damage. I just want the metal. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's our 2 metal end caps for compression. I've seen one other person reuse these cells, and they took them all the way out. I'm going to be reusing these plastic holders because I don't care that I'm losing a little bit of volume, and they give me a really nice guide for how much I need to be compressing these cells. Because you don't want to compress them too much or you get a Samsung smartphone situation, and you don't want to compress them too little, because I'm not sure why. So, ooh. Okay. I just used some cutting dikes here and just kind of chewed up the ends of this, making sure that I wasn't getting anywhere near this cell until glass fiber reinforced nylon is not an especially, it's a brittle material. So yeah, here we have an exposed cell, and then as you can see behind it, we have one of the cooling plates, which appears to be a sheet aluminum sandwich with some very, very tiny holes, which you can see there, that coolant passes through. They're all in parallel though, so if one of these gets obstructed, the rest of the pack will still get cooling, but there'll be no real symptom. It looks like this is also laminated in some sort of plastic. So that's interesting. So that's the portion of the pack we're not going to use. And this is the portion that we will be using. Looks like that is the backside of a cell, I think. What am I looking at? Oh yeah, it's foam. Oh, interesting, there's foam on the backs of the cells. So for our new tiny pack, so this plate will go that way. Oh, I never noticed this. These are threaded? Oh, so those nuts are just lock nuts. Oh, it is not compressing the top. It didn't have M6 bolts long enough at the hardware store, so I went with all thread. Ah, there we go. That is some good bed adhesion, frustratingly. Ah, there. All right. So quite possibly the quickest production of a CAD model in history has produced this, which seems to match the dimensions of how the cell's getting squished in the other battery. And then that guy can go on there. And now the whole thing can be squished down. I think it goes like that. There we go. So here is the basic setup. We have our new module sideways on top of the others. I got rid of the floating connection from the positive here to the positive here. This positive is going to go to the positive on the new module, and the negative from the new module is going to go to that positive. However, it is going to make a pit stop on the way there through the Chevy Spark's original battery disconnect, and that has two terminals on the bottom, between which I will have this pre-charged resistor pack I made out of some of those resistors to stop hyperflashing. So this will sit roughly here, and I'm hoping that there is enough room for me to cut a hole. The fans and stuff are going away from here, but I'm going to cut a hole in that because it looks like there's enough room under the seat for it to protrude through here. And then the battery box would have an external cutoff. It would have a pre-charge resistor. I mean, you still can't rip the seat off all that fast. It's still 2 bolts to get there, but it's the thought that counts. That's how high voltage electronics work. I'm also going to 3D print probably some form of brackets to hold everything in place. I'm definitely going to put more of this non-conductive foam in here to hold things down at a bare minimum. I mean, I'm going to be back in here very shortly to install BMS. Right now I just kind of am in the proof of concept phase. You can see our negative is just drilled through the copper plate. I definitely didn't miss the first time and almost hit the pouch cell in there. No, that would never happen. So I need to hook that up, get this on the battery there, and then pre-charge resistors, and then we can see if it powers back up, and then we get to flash software. Well, I finally got the mini pack in here, and my 2 BMSs did show up. I have 2 like 300, 400 amp BMSs. However, these things Something about these batteries, you cannot solder to any of this. Solder just does not stick. We've tried with 3 different irons, several different kinds of solder. As you can see, there's flux everywhere, and we just can't make anything stick. So I have no idea how to actually connect a BMS to this. I have a hole punch coming in hopes that I can punch holes through these vertical pieces and then nut and bolt a wire to it, because that's the only thing that I can think of. But for now, I just want to see if this thing will work or not. So we're gonna slap that back on there, and I'm gonna grab something else that I made, which is our top cover, which now has the disconnect and my multimeter.
Multimeter?
Oh baby, look at that. Oh, that's probably how they go in the car. I forget these are actually meant for these batteries. One, and the other will make everything hot. I don't wanna.
Buffering.
I don't wanna. I hate it. You wanna do it?
Do what?
Hey. Okay. So now, put that guy on the rest of the way.
Orange means danger.
So in theory, this should be able to power on now. The main disconnect isn't in yet, so it won't be able to pull any like real amount of amps. But I think I could turn the key and at least see if the dash comes on. 350 amps, 690 volts.
It's a bus and fuse.
This is a bus and fuse. And it goes that way?
Negative. Square peg, round hole. Instantly catches on fire. Hey, they did the thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Powered up.
18 miles of range.
Not accurate, but okay. I was concerned for a moment. I forgot I had the kill switch off. Okay. So now, seat. This. Oh no, now's the part where I have to remember how this goes back together. What a tragedy.
Oh? That... It's like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's pretty... Aw.
I'm gonna ignore that. It fits perfectly there.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to mount it an inch backwards. Where was I?
Crank hog.
If only I had power tools, then this would be done, and we wouldn't have to be screwing around with not having
Power tools.
If I just had some, then we'd be all good, and I could ride off into the sunset.
There he goes. Why is it leaking Dex Cool?
That's hilarious. Okay, well, have fun.
Just started leaking.
Sure enough. Yeah.
Go. It's huge.
So the bike is riding great so far, but there is one thing left to check out, and that is if it will charge. So I have a probably adequate extension cable here. Let's plug her in. Oh my gosh, this is like the stiffest. There we go. Oh, dashboard just turned on. Hey, charging. Awesome. So I'm gonna let that charge until it stops, and that will be full, which will be less voltage than we actually started with. I don't know what CP 142. Okay. Not sure what this stuff means, but I think that's what stage in the charge process it is. Unsure, but we'll let that cook for a while. I've got it where I can see it from inside the house in case something goes awry and smoke starts pouring from it. I can push it very fast in that direction. And I've got a hose, but I don't think a hose will do me much good. Oh, and I need to order a brake master cylinder, it looks like. Where is that? Yeah, that is definitely coming from the plunger, it looks like. The turn signal and horn are swapped in position between this and my Aprilia, which is the most annoying thing ever. Because I made a turn, went to turn off the turn signal on the Aprilia, and I honked at somebody, and I felt like a big old dummy. Yet again, once more, the Vectrix is blown apart because I'm installing a BMS. For the last many hours hunched over this thing because not only does it took days to figure out how to even attach BMS wires to this battery because it's got all these tabs here, and these tabs are so thick that you can't solder to them, nor can you spot weld to them. So what I ended up doing was soldering to some standalone nickel strip and then spot welding the absolute crap out of the nickel strips to get them to nickel stick. Now we have our BMS boy here, and that is going to hang off of the negative terminal. Yeah, the negative terminal here, and sit between the negative terminal and our cutoff, which our cutoff is currently not present because I'm printing a better mounting plate for it. I'm not sure why I took the positive connection off. I also am this is such a mess. I wired this backwards the first time, and now I'm dealing with the repercussions of that, so please hold. Yep, okay, so those connectors got so damaged in shipping that they're just gonna peace out completely. Okay. Cool. BMS is awake now, so hopefully that means I can pull out my phone, pull up the AMP BMS app, go to device list, there it is, confirm. Hey, I need to reconfigure this to be the correct battery, and then should be good to go. Okay, so I think pretty much all I do here is I went into fast setting, I do unit number, and I set it to 16S. Physical C is 60 amp hours, and I hit save. And then if I go back, to status, there we go. Now we've got accurate, and I told it was lithium ion. So now we've got 82% state of charge. The charge and discharge MOSFETs are open. Battery status is it's just chilling there. So pack voltage 62. We've only got a 0.008 volt difference. So these batteries, as suspected, do a pretty good job just chilling there without a BMS. Not that I recommend that, but it's still nice to know, I guess. Well, I think a little double stick tape to stick her down on there and she'll be good to go. Let's see, I started a balance just cause, get that 0.008 volts taken care of. And now I need to do the rear pack. But I don't know if I will right now because my back hurts and my back hurts. I don't know if I actually mentioned what it is I'm doing. I've basically split the pack into two separate batteries in series. This one is 16S, this one is going to be 20S, if I recall correctly. It's very messy here. Fortunately, it is less messy in the bike, and I think I'm ready to hook up the second BMS. There's a couple things left to do here. Put these temperature probes somewhere. This is going to go on pack negative for this pack, which would be this guy right here. So hook that there, put the temp sensors in, then plug everything in, and then wake her up. Okay, here it is. Yep, there we go. Well, that is an extremely half-hearted attempt to keep everything in place. Oh, I need to put the foam back in here. This guy. How does that go? Like that, I think. And then we have our new battery shut off. And clearance for that is going to be possibly more tight than I was anticipating, but I guess we will see. I need to make a bigger hole in that guy though. Sweet googly moogly. Alright, so that woke up the second BMS. Which way does she go? That way. No. Yes, that way. All right. That should be connected. Should be. In case you can't tell, it's late and I'm tired, and I still need to be editing tonight. Anyway. We have noises. Hey, look at that. 140 total pack volts. She seems happy. I guess we'll see if the motor runs, although I'm sure it will. Says go. It is moving. That's definitely rated for the amps. There it goes. Okay, and then the BMS is giving me estimated remaining charge time at current speed and showing me how many watts, how much current, 180 watts, 2.2 amps. Of course, that's just into, which battery is this? The smaller battery. If I connect to the other one, oh, same numbers. I guess when they're in series, it is the same. Here we go. Got our big ol' high voltage cutoff boy for safety, except you gotta remove these two bolts to take the seat off to get to it, which is a compromise, I guess. So now that the scooter is all back together, we need to go back into scooter diag and change some settings and flash some firmware. The first thing we're gonna do is change a setting. And to do that, first I've got to remember how to do that. So we're connected. We're going to go to commands. I loaded up a XML file full of different commands, and we're going to do minimum drive voltage. Send. I will just assume that did something. So I figured out at least part of what I'm doing wrong, and it was two things. First of all, I needed to set the dashboard to not be at fully charged. I thought that this was fully just read-only, like whatever the motor controller or charger reports back to it is what it displays, or it just kind of sits here kind of guessing based on stuff. No, apparently it actually has some agency over the charging process. There is a kitten. No. Where did it? Anyway, once I did that, it started charging, but also apparently you're supposed to actually use sets of firmwares at the same time instead of mix and matching like I was doing. No one ever told me this, but I guess it makes sense. So once I flashed all of the Laird's firmware, the ICM, the motor controller, and the battery charger, and I think the order for that is motor controller, then battery controller, or motor controller, battery charger, and then ICM. Things worked. It charged up just fine. Everything was fine. I didn't have a weird glitch that I had with a red battery symbol like I had before. However, the maximum charge voltage is still only, well, it's not enough. It only gets my cells up to about 4.03 volts each. I want at least 4.15. I really want that 150 volt instead of 146 volts. So I'm going to try the configurable again. Okay, I think I figured out my issue. That particular firmware requires what's known as a magic box, which is something that I don't have. It's basically an Arduino that chills on CAN bus, and that is what those settings get written to, and then it passes them along to the ESD charger every time it gets turned on or something like that. Realistically, an aftermarket charger is probably the way to go here. They're kind of pricey though, so I'm just going to go ahead and off and on. I'm just going to fiddle with my BMS settings and change my because the default settings on the BMS, 144 volts for the full pack isn't actually enough for the cells to go into balance mode. So I'm gonna have to change some settings in my BMSs so that they will auto balance when this is fully charged. But now I get to go back to the firmware that I was on previously, which is Fran, no, sorry, not the Fran, it's the Laird software. So we're going back to Laird, which is pretty old compared to the Fran, but it has this Nissan Leaf ESD software that is kind of the only thing that I have actually landed on that will give me a slightly higher charge voltage than stock to take a little bit more advantage of this lithium. So motor controller first. There we go. And now that's done, in the interest of efficiency, I'm going to go ahead and do an encoder offset calibration, for which I have that transmission jack there. We're going to put that under the battery box and lift the rear wheel off the ground, and then got to kick up the kickstand and turn the kill switch off, and that will make sure that the motor runs smooth. So I guess I'll get that set up, and then we can go for a ride. Nice. I swear I'll clean the shop up at some point. Okay, kickstand up. You don't actually need a computer to do this. There's like a throttle and button combo that will do the recalibration, but you know, okay, make sure that we're all connected. We're connected, encoder, and then there we go. Okay, so by kill switch off, they mean they want the kill switch to be in the run position, so they do not want it to be in the kill position. So let's go ahead and calibrate. Oof! We had 296 before, and now it says it's 510. That doesn't seem right. I'm gonna run it again. 508 that time. Huh. So I did the bike's built-in procedure, which is to go full throttle and pull this brake with this on, side stand up, then turn the bike on, then release them both when the gear icon comes up, and then the wheel will do its thing, and then when it's done, you can go into drive, and there we go. It's going the right way now, and if I read the offset, it's 296. So I don't know if this is a really old version of the Vector's diagnostic program. This firmware is probably newer, so it probably has a better algorithm for calibrating the encoder, so we're just gonna roll with it. And I think now I'm gonna set my fuel gauge to 100, just because she do be fully charged. And now I think we can go for a ride. Reverse is a glorious thing. Ah, yes, and since the battery is completely full, it actually limits my regen with this Team Laird firmware to prevent overcharging the battery. Not that that's a issue in my instance, because the battery only ever charges up to about 90% state of charge, which honestly is ideal for battery longevity, but I don't know how much I care about battery longevity on this, considering how not a whole lot it's probably going to get used. I love the sounds this makes. It's got a straight cut planetary gearbox in the back. It just makes the best noises. Oh, green light. Okay. This thing is peppy. What do we have here? Holy crap, that is a straight up pile up. Ram 2500, rear-ended Malibu, rear-ended Taurus, rear-ended Tundra, and then somehow in the middle of it all there is a Suburban. The other nice thing about this being electric like it is all of the weight is super down low in that battery pack, which means that it corners really well. I mean, it really has Goldwing style handling because of how low down everything is, which means it's just super easy to ride kind of hard for what it is. I mean, if you rode a sport bike this hard, you'd be in Le Mans, but you can ride something like this really hard, really confidently, because, I mean, the weight down low does all the work for you. Do a little acceleration test here. I'm getting rained on. 3, 2, 1, go! Well, I'm pretty happy with this. Here in the coming few days, I'll do a range test. We'll see how far we can actually get on this, but for now, it's feeling, judging by the moisture all over my body, shut up comment section, it feels like it is probably time to put this back in the garage for the day. So there we have it. We made this thing a lot more safe and a lot more reliable. And a lot more fun, because I'm less worried when I ride it. Thanks for watching.